Hi everyone, Stepan here with another game. Okay, I'm playing Prisag. The last two games were wins, and that was great. I've beaten this guy once. How do I... Yeah, so 1-0. Okay. Let's go knight c3. So the last two games were wins, and I was really happy with them. Especially the last one. Okay, we're playing the King's Indian. We're gonna play the semi-Averbach and try to beat this guy with our aggressive system. This is how I like to fight the King's Indian, and it's confirmed by two King's Indian players, the most annoying setup black can face. This is all standard. Now knight d7, knight a6 or a5 are the standard moves, and white goes g4. So if you want to beat the King's Indian, this is a setup you can try. It's not risk-free, of course. Whenever you play against the King's Indian, bad things could happen. However, it is one of the very few variations in which white is the one attacking. And that's what I enjoy a lot. So by playing g4, you're making sure f5 cannot be played easily, which means that this bishop is stuck behind the e-pawn, which means that there's no usual counterplay on the queen side. Okay, now g4. If knight c5, I throw in f3 to defend the e-pawn, and then I continue the attack. This is the beginning of the semi-Averbach. This is, in fact, the main line. I would say it's the main line. Now a5 is the move. Yeah. Okay, so here I can choose between several options. I can go h4, h5. I can go h4, g5. I don't want to go g5 because of knight h5 now. I can go queen d2. I can go b3 to prevent an easy a4. Options. What do I want to do? I think in this game I'm going to go b3. I like b3 because people get confused when they cannot play a4 easily. Of course, on a4 there is b4. And my ultimate goal is to play a3, b4, chase the knight away. So b3 is, it's not the main move. I think the main move is h4 or queen d2. But it is the most annoying move for black to face because black is counting on a4, blockading our a-pawn, giving the knight the b3 square. And of course, if a4, white cannot go b4, chasing the knight away. Okay, so now I will continue with queen d2, I believe. I can also play knight h3, but I'm not a big fan of knight h3 if h5 can be played. I have also secured... Okay, maybe my opponent wants to go bishop a6, a4, b4, knight b3. Okay, I'm playing queen d2. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. After b6, c6 becomes unplayable, and that's a great thing because c6 is the way to break down this structure. Basically, black has two pawn breaks, f5 and c6, and with the semi-Averbach, you're always playing against f5 and after b6, which is unreasonable to say the least. Okay, now my opponent's playing for f5. If I go bishop g5, there's probably gonna be f6. I definitely don't want to go h6, bishop h6, exchanging the bad bishop. So I'm thinking on f5, I can just ignore that. So let's say knight h3. Okay, there is queen h4 now. That's annoying. So let's say h4, f5, g5. h4, f5, g5. fe4, knight e4, knight e4, fe4. That seems okay. I have to prevent queen h4. That much is certain. Although I could go knight h3, queen h4, knight f2. But I don't want to allow that. So f5, g5. f5, g5 f4, bishop f2, f5, g5, fe4 seems fine as well. So g5, fe4, knight e4, knight e4, fe4. There's no queen f6, I think, because there's a pawn on g5, so let's shut the bishop in. My counterplay will be down the h file. Ultimately, I want to play bishop f1, queen h2, h5, takes, and mate on h7, or take on h7. My opponent's rating is 2301. I've beaten them once, although I don't remember the game. Maybe it wasn't a training game, maybe it was just a game. Okay, I mustn't allow e4 under any circumstances. So perhaps taking with the knight was a mistake. Now I'm thinking I can take on c5. But I don't really want to take on c5. I can go bishop d3. I can go bishop d3. And then everything gets traded off. Because that is my bad bishop. So bishop d3. But then b5 could come. Yeah, all I have to do is keep this bishop blocked in. So I'll go bishop d3. Now, without the knight on c5, I'm not really sure where black's counterplay is. Look at the knight on e8. That knight has no squares. Black can go, oh, bishop h8, knight g7, knight h5. Smart, 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 smart. So let's fight against that. Let's go knight e2, knight g3. Knight e2, knight g7, knight g3. Knight e2, knight g7, knight g3. Knight e2, if bishop e4, then queen e4. Is there rook f4? Maybe, but I'm still playing knight e2. Queen e4. There's no rook f4. I don't think so. Okay, knight g3. Everything seems defended. Oh, maybe knight f5. Knight f5, ef5. Ooh, that's interesting. So maybe I don't play knight g3. Maybe I play knight c3. Knight c3, knight f5 castles. Knight e3, queen e3, e4, knight e4. Because I don't really want to take on f5, because my opponent has gf5. I cannot go knight c3 because on knight f5 Black's threatening knight g3, but I can castle queenside. Castles queenside, knight f5. h5. Knight e3, queen e3, e4. Well, I can take on g6. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna castle queenside. I definitely didn't want to take the knight on f5. On a4 I have b4, on b5 I have c5, so I can keep the lines closed. If knight f5 I go h5, if knight h5 then okay, let the knight stay on h5, I don't really care. Okay, good. Now the knight's stuck on h5. So now when I go rook dg1, how does my opponent break free from this? Rook dg1, and the plan is knight g3. As long as my opponent doesn't play e4 and liberate the bishop, my position is excellent. And it takes my opponent 2 moves to play queen d7, queen f7, put pressure on f3. If knight g3, my opponent's gonna go knight f4, threatening nothing. Okay, let's go b4, probably a3. That's what I would play. Complicated position. This is a typical King's Indian game, at least for me. It gets so complex that you have no idea what's going on after a while. I think a3 has to be played, because if I play a3, there's no breakthrough for black. Yep. Okay, so now maybe black wants to go rook a4, but I have bishop d2. So now I'm thinking rook g4 followed by knight g3. That seems reasonable. If rook a4, I go bishop d2. I have to get rid of that knight. And with my rook on g4, black cannot play knight f4. Does my opponent want to go queen a4? My opponent's preventing f4, but I don't want to go f4, I want to go knight g3. So knight g3, knight f4, bishop f4. Knight g3, knight f4. I can also go h5. I can also go h5. Okay, I'm playing knight g3. My opponent is bereft of the typical kingside, queenside counterplay unless b4 falls. I don't know if I use the word correctly, but I like the word bereft. If the knight moves, I'm playing h5, wherever the knight moves. The bishop's still awful. And it's gonna be awful unless black manages to play ef4. And with my rook on g4, that's harder to do. Okay, takes. Nice. Yeah, I'm not gonna take. No. I am gonna go h5. h5, queen e4, fe4. There are no infiltrations. Yeah. Let's go h5. Okay, bishop d2 seems reasonable. Bishop d2, do I have any other options? I don't see anything else. I have to hold on to that pawn. Wow, look at the bishop on h8. I'm so happy when I managed to do that. Technically, white is up a piece until that bishop breaks free. And for the moment, there's bishop g7, bishop f8, bishop e7, but even that's not too great. And my plan is to take on g6 and play rook h3, or play rook h3 first. We will see. I don't think I'm winning, but... Oh, takes? What? Aha, so if I take back, my opponent plays rook f1 check, king c2, rook f2, pinning the bishop. But don't I have rook takes h7? Rook takes b4. Let's not be hasty. Because I can also play rook h3, rook gh3, and just keep the back rank defended to make sure my bishop isn't pinned. Yeah, rook gh3. I still don't see a breakthrough for my opponent. Everything is safe except for the f2 square. But is my opponent really gonna take on d2 and then on b4? I doubt it. I doubt that that works. Wow, okay. So king c3, rook b2, king c3, rook b2, rook h7, bishop g7 is forced. And then I go rook h2. Yeah, this is winning. This is completely winning. It's gonna be 3 in a row, boys. 3 in a row. Yeah, now my opponent has to trade rooks. That's the end of the game. 3 in a row. Come on! Come on! Yes! Yeah, let's just pick up that pawn. The most annoying pawn. Let's not give away this guy. Let's take. Okay, how are the king and pawn endgames? So king b4, bishop g5, king b5. Yeah, I don't even have to take. I don't have to take. What am I talking about? I can just improve and come to c6. My opponent is yet to unpin the bishop. So it's over. I can take the bishop and then go king c6 and it's game over. My opponent is way too slow. So let's say king f6, rook g5, king g5, king c6, king f4, king c7, king e4. Well, it's actually not that clear. Yeah, I'm not gonna... On king f6, I'm just gonna go king c6. I don't want to risk anything. There's no need. I'm winning completely. Yeah, nice. Let's go. 3 in a row. Yes. Okay. Let's not get too excited. We have to keep going. But we're back. We're back. Yes. Okay, let's analyze. What do the comments say? Hello. Nice, the semi-Averbach. Is he winning? Hard to say. White will win. Nice maneuver. GG. It's over now. Okay. People agree. Okay, so the theory starts here. And h4, as I said, is the main move, or you can play queen d2. But I like b3. I like b3. It's... Okay, let's enable the engine. Let's turn on the engine. b3 is a subtle move that prevents a4. And as I said, most players with black get confused. So, yeah. Okay, b6, I don't know b6. So queen d2. I could have gone g5, but I went h4, which is also fine. f5, g5, this is very standard. And fe4 is strange. Usually people play f4 and I go bishop f2. And my plan is this, to exchange my bad bishop for this one. On fe4, I should have taken fe4 to prevent bishop f5. But I had taken with the knight. Bishop d3 is correct. Nice. Okay. Queen takes has to be correct. And now on knight g3, I'll show you what I was afraid of. If knight g3, then knight f5. And I cannot take because of gf5. And my opponent is gonna... Once my queen moves away, my opponent's gonna go e4. And then this bishop is active. So I didn't play knight g3. I castled. Wow, and black is better. Okay. b4. a3 I think had to be played. I mean, the engine doesn't play a3, but if I go a3, where is black's counterplay? Queen f5. Okay, so the engine doesn't want to go for queenside play. When you play the King's Indian, you go for queenside play. My opponent should have taken, and they did take. Nice exchange sacrifice. Very nice. Okay, rook f4, bishop f4, ef4. I don't take. Oh, because on queen f4 there is bishop e5. Okay. h5 is correct. takes. Yeah, now this is just very, very dominant. Wait, I should have played g6 immediately. This is a mistake, but okay. Takes. Yeah, no, this is very, very losing. And now the rooks have to get traded off, and it's an easy win. Let's just check if the end game, if I should take the bishop or not. I was gonna go bishop c6, or king c6, but this is winning too. But there was no need to calculate the race. Takes. Yeah, okay, it's winning enough. It's good enough. But there was no need to calculate. On king f6, I just go king c6, and then I take, and then that's the end of the game. Nice! Thank you for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.